I'm in the chat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to troll myself. What's up, everybody watching on gunnewsweekly.com, over on Gun News Weekly on YouTube, and on gun channels. Checking in with us tonight's Ross. What's up, brother?
What's going on, brother? Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again, as always. Let me hit that button and that button. Eric's checking in. What's up, dude?
Hey, not much. What's going on?
Good to see you, as always. That hat is consistent. It's become a mainstay.
I try.
Almost like the Jets hat. We know that's coming in the next week or two. What's going on?
What's up, brother?
House.
I want a hat with a cock on my head, too.
I'll send you one. Don't worry. Well, I'll hook you up.
Cockhead hat.
Dick move patches is all we need, and then we'll just do it that way. Thanks to HPR Ammo and to L2D Combat and Keybar tonight. Appreciate it. Make sure you check out Schwell's video on the copper keybar. That's up everywhere. You posted that pretty much all over the planet. Best place to find it is what? Your Schwell 11 channel?
Yeah, Schwell 11 or Schwell 11, depending on how you say it. But yeah, I try to share it as much as possible. There are a few other places that I'm going to put it up, but I try not to overdo it that first day.
Right on. All right, let's get into the stories. Appreciate everybody jumping in. Studio change. I whipped it around so I don't have to change this and turn every Thursday night and then every Friday morning change my whole. I just put up some pictures and put the patch board up and put a gun behind me. So I'll probably end up putting the tactical wall shelf behind me at some point too. But if anyone's wondering, that's the change. Same room, same computer, all that stuff. Appreciate everybody jumping in and tuning in. Please share this with your friends. Bunch of stories from the Olympics to cover. I guess the big ones for me are the lack of coverage. Where is it? Where's my magazine? Where'd it go? Here it is. I knew I had it. Sorry. This came in the mail today. And they've got these swimmers and the gymnasts and all the people you know. And the girl who won the Olympic medal of Thrasher the first day in air rifle, nowhere to be found, nowhere to be seen. That was the first day. The big one is this gal from that was on the Dana Lash show of The Blaze, and I think it's just appropriate to watch the whole video. But basically, she's won back to back to back to back to back. I think that's all the backs. Gold medals, and she's from California, and she talks about some of the restrictions that are going on in California and how they're going to affect what she does for a living. So let's watch that video real quick, and then we'll all comment.
You're a California native. You've spoken out recently about some of the laws that have been passed in California and how that's going to impact your training. Give viewers a little bit of insight. What will some of those laws pass? How does that affect your ability to train for Tokyo coming up?
Well, one of the big ones is the ammunition law that was just passed in California, having to do a background check each and every time. I mean, I average between 500 and 1,000 rounds a day, every day in training. One of the big things is, my sponsor being able to ship me ammo. I don't know quite how that's going to.
Oh, sorry for the delay.
They're blocking it again.
Let's see if I jump ahead, what happens.
They don't want us to see the content.
Well, she goes on to talk about that as a restriction and some of the other things, but the big thing that I thought was the lack of coverage of this young lady who, again, is just as much of an incredible multi gold medal winning, and again over time, just like Michael Phelps, and just absolutely zero on anything that I've seen on prime time. No, they've done more things talking about the female volleyball player and the fact that she's a mom who still jumps around in the sand than the fact that this girl actually has used competitive shooting to become someone and become a champion.
And if it weren't for the Pro 2A community, you probably wouldn't have heard about it at all, because that's the only place that I've heard anything about either the air rifle, Thrasher. What is that? That competition called Thrasher competition or something?
No, that's the gal who won it, Ross.
Oh, I gotcha.
No, she's 19. She's a West Virginia student, University of West Virginia.
Yeah, and
we
you'd
talked
almost think that that would be somewhat more acceptable because it's just an air rifle, but not even much of a peep from that.
Yep.
She had a good so, I mean, yeah, there hasn't been much coverage. She was also the first day. We're like day 12. She had a good interview on Jim Lampley on NBC. They interviewed her. It was a good, like, 6 or 7 minute long interview. So that was cool to see. But yeah,
Will
not a
they
lot of
feature them
coverage.
in the wrap-up stuff? You know, will they feature them in the wrap-up stuff? Is my question. You know, at the end where they have everyone, like, isn't there always a march at the end and a closing ceremony?
If they choose to stay. So a lot of times athletes, once their events are over, they'll come home. There's no, for example, a lot of the swimmers have already left.
A lot of the swimmers that have left and snuck out of. We'll talk about in the next story. Correct.
Right. So a lot of people leave. And depending on what events you have, there's like different world championships that happen after the Olympics.
I believe she's a shotgun is what her expertise is, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So think about this: 6 Olympics, 24 years of going to the Olympics,
and being on a professional level that you're the best,
right,
in the world. In the world. How many countries truly are we competing against in shotgun, Schwa?
Quite a few. There are a lot of great shooters internationally that we don't pay attention to here in the United States because most of their competitions are international or over in one region of the planet, because traveling over here with guns is extra hard, so they don't do it. So there's a lot to compete against. There's a lot of qualifications that are involved, and a lot of hard work and dedication goes into it. One thing I did want to point out is part of the issue here is we would not be talking about this as pro Second Amendment folks if there wasn't such a anti-Second Amendment sentiment going on right now. Prior to this Olympics, we weren't talking about some of these competitive shooters. We weren't talking about the medals. A lot of us didn't know that she had won multiple golds over the course of her participation in the Olympics. So there's more blame on one side than there is on the other, but we also are not doing our part to make sure that they know that there's an audience that's paying attention. And it's not just shooting. There are other sports that are going on in the Olympics that are not getting any coverage at all. They're not even being broadcast on NBC, on all of the multiple channels and the online stuff. So, you know, I do think.
What are you most upset that they're not showing? Because I'm
BMX,
trying to figure out what I'm missing.
BMX. I wanted to watch the BMX races today.
So I rode in college. That you get like 5 minutes of it. You know, the men's or something like that. So from a TV standpoint, they're going to show the gymnastics because that gets everybody. They're going to show the swimming and the diving. They're going to show those things because it's a ratings thing. They're not going to show the smaller sports that, unless you participate, you have no interest in. That's just
golf.
They did
like golf last weekend, and I was that ticked me off. Like, golf is boring, and we've seen these guys participate or go against each other on a weekly basis. They're all in the PGA. They're all
exactly
going against each other all the time. Give us a break. Give us something different.
The best was Bubba Watson. He said, "Yeah, I'm shooting for 3rd place."
Because they know.
Yeah, and they get paid to do this too.
All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a crazy story from ABC7 New York. Ryan Lochte, 3 others U.S. swimmers robbed by armed men posing as police in Rio. That was the headline on Sunday.
Uh-oh.
Hold on, that was the headline on Sunday. And the opening sentence, Ryan Lochte and 3 other American swimmers were robbed at gunpoint early Sunday by thieves posing as police officers who stopped their taxi and took their money and belongings, the U.S. Olympic Committee said. In the latest security, blah, 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 no one was injured. then later, and he actually tweeted out, "I want to thank all my family, friends, and fans for the overwhelming support and concern I've received today. While it's true that my teammates and I were the victims of a robbery early Sunday morning, what is most important is we are safe and unharmed. I am honored to have represented the U.S. here at the Rio Olympics and to win gold for my country alongside my teammates. I look forward to getting home, blah, 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 representing them in the Olympics." Now, the story all changed when the video came out. So now what we know that happened, according to the New York Post and several other videos, and it's all over. I mean, they made it, from what I understand, a big drama last night on television. I didn't watch television last night, but they apparently made it a big deal last night on the television in terms of the coverage from the Olympics, focusing on this, what's now a huge story. Basically, they got drunk, smashed drunk, to the point at 6 in the morning, they told their taxi driver to pull over so they could take a piss. They got to the gas station. The doors were locked. Someone wouldn't let them in. One of them kicked down one of the doors. A couple of the other ones were like, fuck it, I'm just going to pee right here. This is all my alleged conjecture after watching this story unfold. Security guards approached them and said, "You're not going anywhere." Once they jumped back into the cab. The cab driver's like, "I'm not going anywhere. You guys just committed a crime. The security guards are here stopping me from leaving." Security guards call the cops. The cops don't come. The security guards then pull a gun to make them not leave, because two of them try to take off, apparently. Two of them in the car, two of them try to leave. Gun gets pulled on them. There's every alleged thing from it was pulled on him to it was shown to them to it was put to his head. They then coughed up money because they kept their phone, they kept their wallet, they kept their IDs. They then went in drunk still, gave the story to the police that they had been robbed. Dude got on a plane, took off. The other two guys got stopped on either the tarmac or on the plane.
They were on the plane and got pulled off.
Pulled off the plane, according to CNN this morning. Correct. American swimmers Conger and Bentz were pulled off their flight from Rio to the United States overnight and been ordered to stay in Brazil until they give police a statement over the alleged robbery. What do you guys make of all this stuff so far?
Ryan,
I think it's shocking. I think it's shocking that the media pushed the robbed at gunpoint narrative with no backup whatsoever. That's what I think is funny about this. American athletes, what do you expect?
The backup that you're referring to, Ross, is it's there. It's because of the poverty that's there and the conditions of the country. And other people have been robbed. The Russians, other nations have had their athletes robbed. So they had the backup to justify running with the story. They had no reason to doubt what these guys are saying. I'm just appalled that they did what they did and didn't think that it would turn into something like this. Even if they were telling the truth and the robbery did happen, they had to know that this was going to make the news, that this was going to be talked about. And to think that they were going to cover up what actually happened, go and tell this outlandish story and think that nothing was going to come of it. You arrogant, pompous Americans think you're going to come here and get away with this bullshit? No, that's exactly what the mindset was. You arrogant, pompous assholes think you're going to come to our country, lie, and make it look like we mistreated you and paint this picture of Rio, and we're not going to address it? Oh, no. Get off the plane. We're about to give it to you raw.
The term frat boy has been thrown around, and I think it's very appropriate. And the other thing that I was trying to put my finger on, Ross, was the last time that I peed in public. Because it's alleged that at least two of them peed outside of the bathroom.
I heard reports they had been pretty drunk.
And I was trying to remember when that was, and that was my bachelor party over whatever 17 years ago. And Ross, we were so, and I was thinking about how drunk I was. So their judgment on getting away with it, Schwell, I believe was the drunk thing had a huge influence on it. Because think about it, they won the gold medals. They're these good-looking swimming athlete guys running around Rio for their last night or maybe their second to last night. You know they got hammered.
Well, I mean, look at Ryan Lochte. The dude takes off. He's back in the States. His lawyer's like, nope, he's not coming back. My buddies are over there on their own. Peace out. I mean, like, one, is he really a friend? No. But I mean, it's shameful. I mean, this looks horrible on. It just looks bad. It's bad. It is bad. You know.
I give a lot of credit to the authorities over there because they didn't pull any punches. They were like, nope, he lied. There's no way it happened the way he said it did.
Yeah,
Over here, it'd be like, well, if you looked at it from this angle, you could see. There was none of that. They totally laid it down.
Schwell, I'm not even joking. Just last thing on the clipboard, the absolute last word, just so you know.
I figured we were all on the same page with that one.
Yeah, we are, brother. All right. Okay. What's going to happen to these guys? Are they going to end up in a favela jail? I mean, where are they right now?
No, they released them. I heard they released them, but they'll probably get kicked off USA Swimming. So if they had an international career, because a lot of these guys compete in Europe for cash, that's gone. And Lochtey's still an asshole. So.
Yeah, and it's like, yes, we will let you go.
Don't ever come back.
The gold medal, please.
Well, let's put it in perspective here. What more damage could they do to them? At this point, we know that's probably a misdemeanor crime over there or whatever. What would they be able to do to them? They're not going to lock them up, one. But two, you go public with this, you make them publicly apologize, and the backlash they're going to get from here, oh yeah, this is going to be ugly for them. They're going to pay for this one way or the other.
Yeah, this is not over for them when they get back to the States.
Oh, the sponsorship thing's done. All the extra stuff that you would get as Olympic guy, again, all that stuff, speaking engagements.
You mentioned frat boys, but let's remember that the atmosphere right now around white swimmers isn't a good one. You got the guy that raped the girl getting 6 months from Stanford, and then now you have these white swimmers doing something like this in another country when they're supposed to be representing this great nation of ours. You can't pass this off as young guys doing dumb shit. I've seen somebody post it that way on Facebook today. You can't pass this off like that because the nation has their eyes on you. And someone like Lochte, who has such a history of making a splash, no pun intended, this can't be ignored, and it won't be.
I don't know. I think it's 4 guys that knew they were fucked, got together. All right, here's our story. Blah 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 blah
Right.
blah. And then they went in, and 2 or 3 of them were like, "Oh, I didn't see that happen." And then that unrolls. And those guys, again, detectives in any country are very skilled at getting 4 people.
Dude, the hell with that. This video.
Yeah,
And the
exactly. There you
video's
go. There you go.
And the video's clear.
It's
And the
not
video
even
follows
like-
them from spot to spot. There's like 6 different angles and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So
There's a guy with a control joystick.
they didn't really think it through thoroughly. We know they were intoxicated and they came up with this plan, and they were good until they were like, wait a minute, no, this isn't what happened. We're not going to let him talk about our nation like this and talk about our big city that we put so much money into. No, not at all.
Well, it's a shame that these people that are lucky enough to be put on a pedestal by the people of their country and representing their country don't take it more seriously. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think if you put yourself in a position to be a role model, you ought to act like one, regardless of your age or condition or whatever.
Dude's hair was blonde and then blue. Just
Chlorine,
I think
man.
that was a
That's
product
just
of the chlorine made the
judgment.
color change.
Judgment. Okay.
Chlorine and sewage will do that.
I can tell you from having swam for years, Kev, that's one of those pools with like 1,000%
No,
chlorine.
no, no,
in
no, no,
them.
no, no. Dyed blue, like I want to be Mr. Blue
What,
Hair
like-
guy.
Smurf.
Yeah.
Smurf, American Blue, man. He wants to represent,
Word. All right. Schwell's question of the week. You want to do that? You ready for this?
Yeah, do we start with the question or do we start with the story that actually
Let's
came
do
up?
this. Let's do the story from Breitbart. You want to go with it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Rock and roll.
I had it open. Let me open it again. That website made my
The headline's New Gun Control Idea. Take guns from senior citizens.
Johns Hopkins University Sharon Frateroli sees danger in gun ownership among senior citizens and pointed out Thursday that California's gun violence restraining orders, or the GVROs, provide a way that families can have guns confiscated from older relatives. And to give you a little background on Frateroli, I can't. This last name is so hard to. She works at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and has expressed concern over what a grandparent with a gun might do to him or herself via suicide or the danger that they may befall a grandchild who finds the gun. That's the gist of it. And this story just happens to coincide and was released the day after I posted the video asking this exact same question, because this conversation, I kid you not, came up in discussion with my family last weekend. My grandfather is in his early 90s. My grandmother's in her late 80s. And my grandfather carries an LCR, or LCP. And some members of my family think that it is time for us to take that gun from him, that we need to make that decision as a family as to whether or not to remove the gun from his possession, because they believe that at this age and the way he's been acting as of late, that it would be smart for us to take the gun from him because he may use it the wrong way or have it taken from him and put himself in extra danger. And that's something that we all discussed this weekend. So the question of the week is, do you think that there should be an age restriction on being able to purchase a firearm and an age restriction on when you can and cannot carry concealed anymore? Should your concealed weapons license or your ability to carry concealed or open carry expire once you reach a certain age?
Ross gets to go first. He seems anxious. Go ahead, Ross.
Oh, I am. You know what, Schwell? I think exactly how you played this out is exactly how this ought to happen. There should be no laws on the books that say that a 90-year-old man cannot carry a gun. But I think it's up to the family to make those kind of informed decisions about their own family. When we start trying to put people into boxes, we usually miss the mark by large amounts. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you're not going to stop somebody from planning to do something to themselves or others. You got to let it happen. It's a freedom issue, but there should never be a law written that indicates that Joe Schmo at 90 can own a gun.
All right. Eric?
Well, to piggyback off of that, and I'm sure Eric will be able to chime in or to continue that, should the families have the right to confiscate it as California is allowing them to do?
It's one of those hard. It's one of those, you know, if you compare it to seniors and driving, because that's the other big question that a lot of families have is, you know, is my grandparent too old to drive? Should I take the keys? That's a sign of freedom for some people, a sign of, you know, but there's no constitutional right to drive. It's got to come down to families having that hard discussion with people. You know, one of the things of gun ownership is, are you being safe with that firearm? Are you acting in a responsible manner? I think there, you know, as people age, certain things happen, you know, and it's going to have to be one of those where I think if you're ever looking to the state or to local authorities, I think it's guidance on how to have that conversation. Not to do it, not to take the firearm, but, you know, how do you have that conversation?
Well, I'll add another twist to the plot here. A lot of us have grandparents. Some of them are gone. Some of them are still with me. I have the honor and the pleasure of having all of my grandparents still with me. But one of my grandmothers seems to be suffering from
dementia.
No, not dementia. What's the word I'm forgetting here?
Alzheimer's?
Alzheimer's, yeah, which is ironic, right?
People call it Alzheimer's all the time. I don't understand that.
I'm not one of those guys, but Alzheimer's. So let's say you do have an older member of your family and they are showing signs of it, or they just full-blown have it, and we talk about the not to be infringed. We always refer to that when it comes to gun ownership and being able to purchase and own guns. At what point do we have to look at their mental capacity? and say, you know what, we have to take this gun. We cannot leave it up to them. This is dangerous. When your grandparent or your member of your family no longer recognizes you, you may be perceived as a threat one day, and they may pull that gun and use it on you because they don't remember who you are. Or, you know, I've seen the worst of Alzheimer's, and this is something that you have to sit down and actually think about. And I'm not telling people, what I'm trying to say is, don't ignore this conversation. It is something that you do have to have. This conversation has to happen if members of your family are gun owners and are up there in age.
And I totally agree. I think this is a conversation that everybody should have with an elderly parent or grandparent or whatever. But again, I don't think it needs to be put on the government dole. You know what I mean?
Agreed. I totally agree. Totally. Something that they mentioned in that story is that in certain states, once you reach a certain age, I believe it's like 80 or 90, you have to go and show that you are still competent enough to drive in order to continue to have a driver's license or a valid driver's license. And they're saying, why don't they do that with people who own firearms? And that would be state intervention as well. Again, I don't agree with all of that, because once you start adding the state, and if that state is anti, that state's going to do everything in their power to take that gun from your hands, no matter what you prove or cannot prove.
Right. Well, and despite it's your family. I mean, I'm not talking your family, but you know, in general, it's your family. You're responsible to take care of your family. That's still true today, right? I mean, I haven't gone way out left field. Maybe it's the kid's responsibility to take his grandfather out and go shooting to judge him. But I don't think there needs to be a competency test. I think people need to be aware of their surroundings and aware of their people, and keep an eye on your kin, man. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
And Kevin, do you have any input? You're being awfully quiet tonight.
I haven't said anything yet on this one, but I've just been sitting here quietly taking notes. My input on this one's interesting. I've worked with quite a few seniors. I've worked with quite a few people that are over 62, over 72, over 82, and quite a few that have children who have power of attorney for their affairs. The first thing I'll say is this. All of the language in the article, many of the language that, some of the language that was used when Schwell said that my family is scared that he may pull it on somebody one day, they might do it, it may befall a child into a child's hand. Everything is may, might, may, could. It's all fucking wave a magic wand, and this is the scary shit that I'm scared of that may happen. None of it has happened. We're not talking about, hey, we've had 14 seniors go nuts and shoot their relatives with their guns. This is not some conversation. However, the driving comparison is very interesting, because down here in Florida, I looked it up, and I have a whole list of websites tabbed and open. I don't even need to pull them, but I looked. It is the most prevalent state for senior accidents with cars, period. Not just because there's more seniors here, it's an overall ratio number for sure. And they do stuff, it's the stuff that you see on the news all the time that makes you think about this topic. I thought I was in reverse. I hit the gas pedal. I drove straight through into the convenience store. I was in the Walmart parking lot. I didn't see the person behind me. I drove him over him and dragged him for 2 blocks. It's story after story. Ross, it's insane, dude. It's old people not knowing how to drive, and you're like, holy shit. I can't tell you how many times I've been driving, and there's a car driving, and you're just driving, you look over, and all you see is this much of a person's head and just hands on the steering wheel, and you can't believe that this short little senior is navigating this car down the highway. It's true. I'm not opposed to those people at a certain age, and I don't know who gets to dictate it. You have to be 16, 15. My daughter's getting ready to go through this. She's got to go through all the licensing and the proof of this and that and the other, and she's got to do the tests and then the physical test, and then we all know we never get tested again, even if you get into accidents all the time. Then eventually they send you back to driving school, but I hear that's a joke. I wouldn't be opposed to certain people, and I understand it's in effect where certain age you need to make sure that you can physically hand-eye coordination because the human body deteriorates. I don't care what anyone says. That's a fact. I would not have a problem with the child that has the POA documents signed doing whatever they thought was best, because that family has gone through the process of saying this person can no longer handle their financial affairs or make sound decisions on their behalf, and we need someone that can sign their name on their behalf. That's what a POA is, power of attorney. You're getting the ability to sign off on everything, financial and otherwise. Those people, I believe, should have. I have no problem with those people looking at their parent and saying, well, I have the power of attorney for them. It's time to lock up the guns or take it away. You're a threat.
It's like a healthcare proxy. Same thing. You know, it's like it's definitely a family by family I think decision. You know, if I think I saw in the chat something about physicians, but if your relative parents at that stage, you're going to physicians, and part of that is assessing their mental state. So you can take that information and now use it as part of that discussion.
I don't think that anyone should have the. I think again, this goes back to the bottom line. The bottom line is the Second Amendment says that you have the right to protect yourself and your family and your house. If the people that are in charge of taking away those guns from that person are also ensuring the safety of the house on their behalf, it's okay. If they're off in a condo somewhere and you're saying to them, don't defend yourself if a guy breaks into your house, that's, again, there's a line there. A person with power of attorney that has some, they're not going to be off in a condo by themselves. They're not. So I guess
it's not, you know, it's not an easy, there's no easy answer to this one. It's on a case by case. It's from family to family. It's from person to person. There is no right or wrong answer. The only wrong answer I have is leaving it to the government or doctors to make the decision. That's the only wrong answer in my opinion. If it's the family making the decision, I'm all for it because nobody knows better than them. Just like you said, if someone is going to take the responsibility for keeping keeping them safe, then you know what? I'm for it. But you're absolutely correct.
Hashtag I stand with Schwell.
All right. Good discussion. Great question of the week, Schwell. Look forward to next week's, whatever it may be. But yeah, having that be, and again, we can all confirm that Schwell brought this up well before all these stories hit this week. It's ironic that they all did. I thought maybe you had a plant in the media somewhere or something.
No, it's my questions of the week are usually generated by personal experiences and discussions that I'm having with you guys, my friends, and those in the industry. It's usually a very organically generated question.
All right, let's do some state-by-state news, but let's keep it quick because we're already at 9:34 after the hour. 9:34. We've got New York City, good old Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Florida. Let's each take one of these. Let's start with New York City. I guess that's you, Schwell. You want to do this one? There's really not much to the story other than they found all this stuff, right? Is there anything more to it?
Are we talking about the guy with the red Durango?
The AK?
The AKs and the shotgun and hundreds of rounds.
That story is an interesting story. Well, this guy was driving erratically. Some NYPD detectives saw him. They followed him into the gas station. And upon approaching him at the gas station, he had all of his windows open. I watched the video. They look in the back seat, and there's a gun case, a rifle case on the back seat. And
do you want to watch the video? I have it teed up. Is it worth watching?
Not really. It's kind of
30. Okay.
Yeah, it's not really but
it's not that quality. You're right.
Right. So this guy has over 100 rounds of ammunition. He has a shotgun, a double-barrel shotgun, it looks like, and an AK-47. I can't remember if there was a pistol in that picture or not, but all of those are illegal. This guy is from South Carolina or North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. He was visiting New York with these firearms. They don't know if he had any intentions of committing a crime, if he was up there to sell the guns, if he was trafficking guns or what. But the thing that gets me the most with this particular story is he had been arrested. I think they said like 90 times or some god
It
awful
was an
number.
insane number.
He'd been arrested in New York damn near 100 times previous to this. So
Is that duct tape on the AK? What is that? I don't understand what that
that
is
looks
right
like residue. Who knows? It could just be anything at this point. But
This looks like weed. Is that weed? Just big bags of weed?
yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yep. But yeah,
Eric, thank you for confirming. Weed confirmation.
if you scroll down a little bit, Kevin, you'll see he had an extensive rap sheet in New York. You know, so it's there somewhere. 30 times. There it is. 30 times by the NYPD. And the last time was in 99.
So we're to believe all 30 of those were misdemeanors then, huh?
Yep. All right, we'll keep an eye on that one. Eric, up next is Massachusetts.
Oh
It
boy.
looks like your lady is trying to restate things.
In the never-ending saga of we're going to reinterpret the assault weapon ban here in Mass of '94. A new FAQ page appeared up on the Attorney General's website today, going over what technically can still be bought and sold in the state. 22s are okay. Originally those were not. Those were unsure. Tavors are okay now. That was kind of a iffy area. 223
Really?
maybe, but not 556. Yeah, it's I think if you look at that list, 223 chambered is okay, but 556 is not. It's all over the place. It's all over the place.
Damn you, overpressured rounds.
Right. And the FAQ section is growing. There was a discussion recently about what to do with weapons that have to go in for service. The original FAQ stated that if you had a grandfathered in AR and it had to be sent back to the manufacturer, say for a defect, you couldn't get a new one back. They had to refund you money. And then they realized, well, we can't do that. There's some other laws around that. So you can now get a new AR that's now considered grandfathered if the other one is destroyed. So, yeah, it's just not good.
It's crazy.
I heard that it is the direct result of ignorance on the part of your AG in the terminology of the guns and gun world, and even to the extent of she doesn't understand caliber and something that simple.
I think they want to keep everything vague and they want to constantly keep things changing because that prevents people from buying. If people are concerned or unsure about buying something, they're not going to. Also, if you're a dealer and you're not sure if, hey, I'm going to bring in this semi-automatic pistol, it's on the list that's allowed for the state, but maybe this new interpretation means it's now not off the list, well, I'm not going to bring it in. So by keeping it vague, she kind of keeps people from moving forward.
She backpedaled just enough to open up an opportunity for this all to be revoked, in my opinion. I think this is a huge step. I think it's a positive step for our cause, and with what those guys at Gold are doing and all of the other entities such as Smith & Wesson, and there was the one other company that were bringing suit against her and her
the
office.
NSSF.
Yeah,
Natural.
I think this is a sign that, you know, her defenses are weakening, her legs are a little loose, she's about to go down, you know, she's up against the ropes. So
Schwell, do you see this as being overall good for the Second Amendment, what she's done? Do you think it's an overreach that will end up loosening the restrictions in Massachusetts?
Eventually, yes. I think if they don't take their foot off of her throat, I think it can be a positive outcome for the Second Amendment and those folks up there fighting the good fight. If they let her loose, then it sucks.
I can tell you, Goal, I'm a member of Goal, Gun Owners Action League. We're very vocal. I think in this state it's better than the NRA from what we do. It's very localized. And right now they're doing a lot of fundraisers because I know there's going to be a long, protracted legal fight coming. What the AG has also done is the way she targeted it, the way her op-ed read, it's the hunters versus those that don't hunt. And I think one of the things Goal really tries to do is bring the firearms community together. I mean, I know people that shoot and they're hunters. To them, this is no big deal. This is my 30-06, you know, my Weatherby, that stuff's good to go. So I don't need to worry about this. But Goal, people like people that are very pro Second Amendment and very vocal are trying to explain that that's just it's a slippery slope. It doesn't end there. We got people like Matt DeVito that was on a couple weeks ago. He's very vocal locally too. Um, it, I think this time around they didn't realize how vocal, and we can thank some of that to social media. It's no longer just a newspaper. Social media that really keeps things going. My concern is that as this drags on, people start to get quiet because they get bored, or if you know what I mean, they're not aware anymore because it's been going on for so long. So that's my long-term concern.
All right. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about it because it's going to continue to be a story as this year finishes up for sure. My Florida story is about the face-eating guy who they think was on Flocka, and the only story there is that you should carry a gun because people go crazy.
What the hell is Flocka?
You know what I'm talking about. Isn't that what they say? It's either that or crocodile?
I don't know.
This guy, literally a Florida State guy, member of Alpha Delta Pi fraternity, stormed out of a sports bar where he was dining with his parents, allegedly for slow service, and then decided to go home and, again, I'm not going to get into this story because it really doesn't have to do with guns, but it's crazy. And everyone thinks he was just a normal kid and a nice kid, and everyone knew him, and da-da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da, and he flipped and started eating faces when they showed up. We got the Pennsylvania story and the Milwaukee story. I got 2 quick videos and then a couple quick gun stories, and then we'll wrap it up tonight. Appreciate everyone jumping in. Pretty big number tonight over on the Gun News Weekly channel. How's the chat going?
Chat's rocking. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We appreciate your input.
They're loving the chat being on YouTube. I've not seen it this active in a long time.
Is the gun channel's chat as well?
Last I looked at that was actually dead.
Yeah, it's pretty much dead. Everybody, well, that's not true. There's a couple people over here, but for the most part, everybody's over on the YouTube channel.
Usually it's pretty, gun channel's heavy. Maybe we'll see what we can do to get some more people there. All right, so Ross, you want to do the Pennsylvania story? It's crazy, but it needs to be discussed.
Absolutely. So I bring this story to the table not necessarily for the content of the story, but to open up a larger discussion, which actually ties directly into what we've been talking about and what Schwell's question of the day came about. So let's start with the story. A Pennsylvania man had been, the police were called to his house for a domestic dispute. A day after that, where she said that she feared for her life and she was moving out of the house and she was trying to get away from him. The day after, the guy bought a handgun, and 3 weeks later killed the whole family as she was moving, including the dog, as they were moving out of the house into an apartment in another town for her safety. Now, the story is tragic, and of course we don't condone. I don't condone this in any way, shape, or form. But my question is, are we going to try to give up our freedoms to try to prevent things like this? And like I said before, it goes back to your 90-year-old grandfather. Are we going to take away their freedoms just because they're 90, or is there something else? Now, in this situation, the police were called. It was obviously a violent thing that they were called for, but how quick are we expecting the government to work in that situation to stop him from being able to purchase a gun, A, and then if you get a hand, you have a situation like this where a guy buys a gun the day after, how long until someone recognizes the red flag that's supposed to be out there on these domestic disputes to get that gun from him? So it's a two-part question. A, how do we stop this? But how do we stop it without completely giving into a police state and just saying that if you have met criteria A and B, then your rights are taken away from you?
I think
Thoughts?
these are different situations, Ross. When there's a domestic abuse case involved and a court has said you can't go within X feet of this person, it's because they fear that if they interact with that person, it's going to turn violent and someone could get hurt.
I completely agree. How do you get that information to the NICS system so that he can't buy a gun the very next day?
So
How
my
can
first
you
question,
not know that he can go on the dark web and get a gun the next day?
He
Stop
very
it.
well could.
Stop it,
But
Kevin.
this was a legally purchased weapon.
Right. Never be that guy, Kevin. Never.
What?
so I guess my first
Never be
question
that
is,
advocate. Never.
No, I'm not advocating that. I'm saying he could have one under his mattress. He could have a buddy down the street that he goes and convinces that he needs to go shoot squirrels that after. I mean, it's not just the NICS system is my point.
So when we set up these things, these laws, we give government permission to say, if you have a domestic dispute and it's a violent one, and she's scared for her life, and she gets a restraining order, you're not allowed to buy a gun. They have to be able to back that up. They have given us the security through their words that this won't be able to happen if this happens, but then it happens. How do we protect against that?
I guess the first question is, how quickly does that information go from the state into the NICS system? Because it's manually entered into a system, into a database. So what's that process, right? So
So they told us when they said that they could take your rights away when you got a restraining order, that's what, basically if you got a restraining order or you're in this situation, you can't go get a gun. But this is the exact case that we gave them permission to do this so that this wouldn't happen, and it's happened.
in Pennsylvania, they said that? That's one of the laws on the books in Pennsylvania?
I believe that's the gist behind the story, is that this is something that's supposed to have been taken care of by our government, that said that this is, we got to have this law, Eric, because it'll stop people from doing exactly what's happening. And then it brings on a much larger question of at what point do you start taking people's rights away from them, and who dictates that?
Well, that's why we have a judicial system that we depend on with judges and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
those are all elected, again, appointed by elected people, and da, 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 da. So again, that's the system. That's the system we're in. They're all good questions because I don't know, Ross. I think these are all individual things. But again, it was
At the end of the day, this is a huge tragedy. 3 small children are dead. A wife and husband are both dead. Because of a domestic dispute. I don't know what the answers are, but I know that the answers that have been proposed and that have been put on the books are not working, and there doesn't appear to be accountability anywhere.
Speaking of accountability, another segue. Let's talk about Milwaukee. Went down last weekend after the show on Friday. There was all of a sudden reports of riots and unrest, and basically what you had was a cop interact with a suspect gets shot and killed, uproar over the public saying that another cop has killed, again, a young black youth who was being pursued. He did have a gun on him.
He did. The police officer, who is black, with a body camera. It was a traffic
Still
stop.
a week later, still haven't seen any of that footage, right?
Yeah, there's body cam footage that was on. Apparently, the sound was delayed by 20 seconds, according to the press conference I saw. There's a still image released. During that traffic stop, the suspect ran. Suspect turned and pointed the firearm at the police officer, from what I've heard, and the police officer fired. Suspect was killed, and now you've got your protests and your riots. Today, or it was either today or yesterday, last night, story came out that the suspect and the police officer knew each other from high school. They lived in the same neighborhood. They knew each other in high school. One of the family members is claiming that the police officer shot him because he was jealous of him because he was the popular kid in high school. So there's a lot of layers to this. I think the body cam footage will when it comes out, and I think they're not releasing it because they're reviewing it, and I think they're trying to determine if they can use that to bring any legal charges against the police officer, or exonerate him. I think they're just trying to go through due process. He has rights too. I don't, so they got to go through that whole process.
Well, you've been quiet on this one.
Well, there's not much to say. Everything that we've been presented with is what everybody's discussed so far. Those are the facts that have been released. There's nothing really to question here. You know me, I'm not one of those, just because a black kid got killed, that the cop was wrong. If he had a gun, if he pointed the gun at the officer, that's what you need to expect to happen if you point a gun at the cops. And that's exactly what happened. As far as the rioting and all of that stuff, again, that's what these kids think is the right thing to do. And let's face it, and we'll see it. I hate to bring it up, but they'll blame it on BLM. They'll say Black Lives Matter is the cause of this and the cause of that. These kids are doing what they think is the right thing to do. BLM isn't calling them on their cell phones and telling them, all right, guys, now go set that car on fire and let's get this shit going. That's not what's happening. These young people who believe the only way that they can make their presence known or make a point is by violence and destruction. And it's sad that that's where we are, so.
I agree. I agree with that point for sure. All right, let's watch a couple quick videos, and then we got a couple guns to talk about, and then we'll wrap up. This one was a robbery where suspects from an armed robbery are now in jail, but a bad decision by the victim has him facing charges as well. Oh, of course, I missed it. Hold on, I'm going to turn him down real quick. Sorry. They duped me.
I need a new bed.
All right, here we go.
It's surveillance video even police can't believe.
Oh, that could have been a fatal injury very easily.
Two people run down this Rio Rancho street. Just seconds later, a black car hits the two. Watch again. You see one launched into the air. The other jumps out of the way. Behind the wheel is 18-year-old Quinn Chavez. But Rio Rancho police say Chavez, just minutes before, was a victim himself. It all started back at this park, just blocks from the accident. Chavez pulled up with 20-year-old Christopher Gutierrez in the car.
They weren't engaging in activity that takes place in parks.
Instead, court documents show 3 people approached the car with a gun and robbed Chavez. Chavez told police then they all ran off on foot.
Chavez told police that he took a minute to gather himself, got into his car, and started driving away from the park on this street. When he looked down to the end, he spotted the group.
Then police say Chavez mowed over 2 of the robbery suspects. Both boys were okay. Just this week, Rio Rancho police charged the 4 with robbery. And because of the video, Chavez is...
He's doing a triple Lindy. He's doing his Olympic impersonation on that one. Again, you can't excuse this guy for doing what he did. You can't blame him, but you can't excuse him.
Yep. They all deserve, I guess, what they got.
We can't condone it, but if your blood's boiling and there's nothing you can do, and your thought is to jump in the car, and then you see them, I mean, the guy just, I don't know, man.
Knock on wood, they were all okay.
Well, let's hope that most people don't make those decisions, but it's an interesting video to watch. And then Schwell has issued a challenge for my upcoming video series to imitate this gentleman somehow, some way. This guy turns down a Libyan street into Wheel a While and starts skating and shooting at the same time. Reverse skate, couple skate. That's all it's missing. Schwell, you ever do the Wheel a While thing in like 7th, 8th grade?
No. I wasn't a
I wonder if that's a new Afghan tactic. Skate right up.
I guess.
That's just going to get somebody killed, preferably him.
Somebody, him or somebody on his team, right? He's gonna hit a rock and do one of those. I watch the fail videos every Friday. Fail Army, shout out to Fail Army. They make me laugh. I smile every Friday afternoon.
He's gonna be the next dude that gets hit by the back blast of the RPG. That's it.
All right, which gun do you want to talk about? This survival shotgun? Well, we'll talk about both of them. We'll do it very quickly. Cool survival shotgun. Check out Big Daddy Hoffman 1911 on YouTube, and he did a review on it. And shout out to fabweb.org. But basically, it's a survival shotgun that you can fire 12 different calibers and fits in your bug-out bag. Pretty interesting. Shout out to Gear Nation. He sent me the link for this earlier today. And then the other one is the Glock 17M. Does anyone care or have an opinion or want to talk about this gun for 10 seconds?
It's the gun everybody tries to make their gun into when they get the stipple work and all of that stuff done. I think they finally got it right.
And the funny part is, the submission that the FBI sent out was for a SIG. I mean, they wrote that requirement to be a SIG gun. And Glock's like, okay, we'll take that and we'll just put everything you want on it.
Nailed it.
Exactly.
So they're hoping to get the contract? Is that what you're saying?
Well, Glock
the guys in well, Glock's got it, but the guys in the field wanted SIG, so they wrote the rec, the requirements to basically. I think they could have taken from the website, and then Glock got it and said, "Oh, we can do this." I wouldn't be surprised if they put like a Gen 1 frame in a new. You know what I mean? Like.
And that's basically what it boils down to, is like a Gen 2 frame, a Gen 2 hybrid frame with some of the features of the Gen 4, add in the ambi slide release. I believe the mag catch is ambi if you switch it from side to side, and they remove the front finger grooves.
The mag well's flared.
Right. They did everything that a lot of people have been doing to the guns themselves. Outside of the ambi slide release, slide catch, everything else is stuff that you actually see people do when they send their guns in to be modified for stippling and all that other customization.
I mean, Rainier Arms just released an ambi mag release today. I mean, like, yeah, they're claiming this will be the Gen 5 Glock G17 when it's released to the public.
If you put the last 4 gens next to each other and got some layman that's never messed around with Glocks before and said, what's the difference between these, he's going to say nothing. I mean, we're all talking about such minute changes, in my opinion. Because people are still going to modify this one.
Oh, without a doubt.
This is.
But it's going to sell. You would think, oh, it's just a Glock 17. Unless they overprice it, that gun's going to sell like hotcakes. Everybody's going to want that gun. I mean, I've even thought about getting it because of the ambi slide catch.
Did they give an ETA on the public release for that yet?
No.
I don't know. All right, what else did we have? That was the 2. The other stuff I had was all extra stories in case we didn't have time. We're good to go there. Brooklyn kicks out a $1 million smart gun design competition. Did you hear about that?
You found a gun story that I haven't read previously? You should win a prize for that.
Yes.
For smart guns, huh?
Yes. Thank you, Chris Eager from Guns.com, for allowing me to be so on top of things. We'll talk about that one next week. How about that? We'll lead next week with that one and wrap up with a bunch of random stuff here. The Hartman Optic is out, and we will have our hands on one very soon to check out and get back to you on, but everyone's talking about it as being fantastic. That's something that's very cool. The new L2D barrels and slides are coming very soon. The barrels are there. The new slides are, again, they might even be there, but they're coming soon, so make sure you pay attention to their website. I didn't get a chance to get into it, but I wanted to talk about these Swabit things, so I'll just do a video on it. But
They're awesome.
They are awesome. Have you used them?
Yeah, we did a review on TGL a while ago. Reusable swabs, man.
And you can wash them, right? Like you can just like
Yeah.
put them in your hand and get some soap in there and soap them out and let them dry.
Just use water. Don't use soap because
Right
then
on.
the soap gets into the follicles. Some of those you can snap off. You can put them on your wands and all that stuff. Yeah, they're
That's what I was just doing.
they're reusable. A little more money than your standard swabs, but they last for a very, very long time.
It's in replacing the patch is a pain in the ass. Threading the patch and then it's dirty, and then you got to get another one, thread it through and dirty, and then so Swabits, check them out. Check out high threat concealment. I've been using these inside the waistband holsters for this week, a little bit over a week now. I really like them. What I like about them. What's that?
Is that the Evo?
That is just their standard inside the waistband one. I don't know what it's called. Hold on, I got the catalog right
I
here.
was just about to say I don't know what it's called. Eric.
See, I don't know.
I just know she's cute. I don't remember her
Dedicated
name.
inside the waistband holster. Dedicated inside the waistband holster. But I'll tell you what it's made of. It's made of the highest quality thermoplastic available from Boltrod, a high-impact PVC acrylic alloy designed specifically for parts subjected to extreme temperatures and pressures.
Schwell, I think he said Voltron, by the way.
I heard.
Voltron.
I was gonna say, let's unite.
I'm not even talking anymore about that. What else? Got all that taken care of. A couple other quick shout-outs. Just making sure I'm covering everything. Make sure you check out the new version of TacDaddy.com. We got some new stuff on the homepage and some new different products on there, and some very decent sales, especially on those boots that I did a video drop this week on. Again, the garments are awesome. I fully stand on them and behind them. And at $120 for that color, it's fantastic. It's just a great deal. And what else? Yes, happy birthday, Emily.
I'll make sure I tell her that in the morning. She's already in bed.
I know. Show her the clip. Happy birthday. And shout out to Brody and the good news from him this week and the fact that he got the Brody box. At the same time was pretty damn cool. So we're going to have to start the next one. I already have. It's got a t-shirt in it. It's got a bag from Tough Products. So guys, if there's any patches you have in a drawer or something that you're not using, get them together. Anyone watching the show that's got a company, shoot me a PM. We're putting together stuff, and we will be sending it to another important viewer. We're just going to have to pick the next one somehow soon. Lastly, we want to give a shout out and encourage everybody to check out the GoFundMe and the information that's going on with Jacqueline. Again, I get the last name wrong, so I'm going to call her Bro Jack. Corazosa?
Corazosa.
Okay, thank you very much. There was a motorcycle accident with a car. She was involved. She's been on our show before as a guest as part of the Pipe Hitters Union catalog. We send nothing but love, hugs, and all the support that we possibly can. The GoFundMe is pretty easy. You just search Brojack on Facebook. That's what someone told me. Is that accurate? Somebody search it, or
yes,
somebody.
if you hashtag Brojack, it will pop up. But I also just put it on the Gun News Weekly timeline. So if you go to the Gun News Weekly timeline, it will be there. And then when this video goes live tomorrow morning, it will be in the description so that you can find the GoFundMe. And she's one of those people that when you meet them, when you have a discussion with her, you are very interested in learning more about her, and she's very nice and down to earth, and we'll have a conversation with anyone about guns, motorcycles, fitness. She's out of Las Vegas, works at a gun store there. I think it's Machine Gun Vegas, I believe. But Jacqueline is one of those great personalities in our industry.
And very active and very supportive of everything going on in the industry. So again, we want to give her as much support and wish her a speedy recovery, because getting injured's got to suck. The recovery is going to be the hard part. But everything that I'm reading and hearing is that her spirits are high based on all the support, and hopefully, again, the family with the GoFundMe is able to get her the care she needs to get back on her feet. And I'm sure she wants to race again. I think she was just gearing up to race, or something was going on.
She's going to be the first female the first female veteran to race the, I believe it's the Reno 400 or the Baja 400, and
Baja 400. It's like
Baja
600
400.
miles.
Right, and she
Crazy.
was, a lot of things were happening, and hopefully once she is all healed up and ready to rock, that she'll be able to continue where she left off, and I'm sure she'll find all the support she needs in this industry.
Yeah. In lieu of the veteran site of the week, make sure you go check her out. She is a veteran and she needs our help, and we want to do that next week. Q will have another. Hopefully, Q will be with us again and have another veteran site for us to check out as well. But this week, make sure you check out Brojack, and again, hashtag Brojack on Facebook and in the descriptions here. Check out everybody on the panel. They've all got Facebooks, Instagrams, YouTubes, all that kind of stuff going on. Thank you to Frank and everybody that has supported us along the way with Gun News Weekly. We appreciate it. Schwell, anything on the way out?
Just check out big3east.com and stay tuned for a lot of stuff coming your way for that. I have a huge announcement that's coming in the next few days once I get a few things lined up. But big3east.com.
Tell us now.
I'm going to give away a gun, a shiny gun, a custom-made gun.
Oh, snap.
Are we eligible?
Oh, yeah, everybody's eligible except me.
Awesome. Eric, what you got?
Big 3's coming up in a couple months, man. Getting planning for that.
Hey, it's all we'll be talking about because I think everyone's going to be there this time.
Yeah.
That's the
Flights are
plan?
booked. I can't wait. Yeah.
Awesome. Ross.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. It was a great chat tonight. Thanks to everybody for watching. Really looking forward to Big 3. If it was half as good as the last one I went to, it'll be quite a treat. So looking forward to that. Thanks for having me on, Kevin.
Always, I'm going to put you on the spot since they're not watching. How was having the parents at your house for a week?
It was fantastic. You have no idea.
Did you have guns out at all anytime? That was a question I wanted to ask you. Did you have guns out just in any way, shape, or form? I mean, I know you have kids.
Well, I always, yeah, and I carried my 19 while they were here, so we're out working in the yard and doing stuff. It was visible many times. They never said anything.
Yeah, but you could just be like, have you seen how many snakes are around here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that wasn't a big deal at all, and I didn't push it. Of course, that's nothing but trouble. But
last thing, real quick, if you go to TacDaddy.com, you click on Shop by Brand, you're going to see right up top there's a new vendor. Shout out to Faxon Firearms. We're getting busy getting their stuff on, and we started with the barrels. They're there. If you buy a Faxon barrel, you not only support Faxon, you also support Gun News Weekly and the stuff going on here at TacDaddy.com. Appreciate it. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next week. We have guests coming up for the next 3 weeks, as far as I can tell, starting next week with a guest from Kenai and some other very interesting people coming up right behind them. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good night. Peace.